Hi there, it's Dr. Bernstein, and in this video, I'm going to provide you with some valuable introductory background information about Walt Whitman. You are going to be reading Song of Myself, which is a poem within Leaves of Grass. Leaves of Grass was Whitman's book of poetry that was first published in 1855. So it first started coming out really towards the very end of the American Renaissance, which, as you know, began in 1850, drew to a close in 1855. And Whitman published 6 editions of Leaves of Grass between 1855 and 1881. And this I find really interesting about him, in terms of Whitman as a writer, as someone who was dedicated to his craft, because he wasn't someone who just put his poem out there, his book of poetry out there, and then completely detached from it. There's nothing wrong with that, but he really saw it as this living, growing entity that he was constantly revising and expanding and tinkering with, so that it remained a living document, so that it did reflect changes taking place in his culture. It reflected changes in his own perceptions of what was happening. And he also put out a variety of formats of his book. So there was one format that was a large kind of coffee table size book, and then there was another version that was smaller and more portable, so you could carry Whitman around with you. And he also put out copies that were of differing prices, so that the text was as accessible to as many people as possible. Now, the first 2 editions of Leaves of Grass were published in the mid-1850s, which was a time of great social unrest and dissension. And in this video, I'm going to be referring to and quoting from David Reynolds' really influential, incredibly well-researched and well-written biography of Walt Whitman. Also, David Reynolds happens to be one of my graduate school mentors, and he really opened up my mind to thinking about Whitman in new ways. So I'm going to be quoting a fair bit from him. So Reynolds points out that in 1854, the Kansas-Nebraska Act was passed, and the fugitive slave Anthony Burns was seized, and disunion seemed a very real possibility. Plus, the economy, which had been booming since the 1848 gold rush, contracted sharply in 1854, resulting in widespread unemployment and suffering. As Reynolds notes, there were, at this point, there were not that many people who believed that the disunited states could be made to cohere, to sort of come back together, to remain united. At least not through normal political means. So what's happening at this time is that the individual and the mass, states' rights and the union, these tensions between opposing tendencies had, as Reynolds points out, preoccupied politicians and social thinkers for decades, but now they were becoming more and more pronounced. And Whitman had what Reynolds describes as a strong impulse to hold America together, and he used his poetry as a means of holding it together. That's pretty interesting approach to think about how poetry can help promote unity, how poetry could help heal these opposing forces and help bring things and people and factions together again, or together for the first time. And so Reynolds argues that Whitman believed that resolution could be achieved through poetry that powerfully affirmed the individual while equally powerfully absorbing the mass. I'll just say that again because it's really important. Reynolds argues that Whitman believed that resolution could be achieved through poetry that powerfully affirmed the individual while equally powerfully absorbing the mass. So it's not just privileging the individual over the group or privileging the group over the individual. It's really holding them together and valuing them both. That's something that's important with Whitman's poetry. And I really want you to think about these issues when you're reading Song of Myself. So I want you to think about, how does Whitman seem to try to hold the nation together through his poetry? How does he dissolve oppositions? How does he dissolve these tensions between different groups? Really focus on not just answering that question, but looking at passages where you think that's happening. And you might not be able to write down an analysis right away, but at least you can take notice of, this is one way he's trying to bring together opposing groups. This is another way. And then when you go back over the text, you can sort of zoom in on a few examples and start developing your analysis of them. I also want you to think about how the poem functions to bring together, to heal, to celebrate. And this is something I haven't been talking about in this video, but I want you to concentrate on as well, is I want you to think about Whitman's style, the style of his poetry. In the introductory video on American Romanticism, I talked about how the Romantics were breaking with previous poetic traditions because they wanted to create forms of poetry that were more natural, that were more naturally suited to the individual's ideas. I gave you that quote from Emerson about how it's that the form of the poem should emerge organically, naturally from the idea itself, that every poem has its own natural shape. So I want you to think about how the style of Whitman's Song of Myself reflects the ideas, that the style, not just what he's saying, but the way he says it, how that reflects Whitman's chief concerns, his underlying beliefs and ideas. And it might be a little bit challenging to you at first, but that's something that's really important, is to think about the style of someone's writing and the effect that it has on you. And I also, on the deepest level, I want you to enjoy. I want you to allow yourself to enjoy Whitman's poem. You don't have to worry about getting every reference. That's not important in an introductory level course. What is important to me here is that you focus on these issues, but also that you let yourself take in Whitman's poem, that you take it in, that you lean and loaf and invite yourself, your soul, to enjoy this poem and just see what happens. So if you have any questions, you know what to do. Post them on our D2L discussion board or shoot me an email. That's it for now. Take care. Bye.